Hello, welcome to Song Online. I'm Dave, and today I'm going to give you a brief rundown on the history of stringed instruments. Now, if you've been following along with our videos, you might have a violin, a viola, or a cello with you. Now, did you ever think about how they came to be invented? Just like modern cars, bikes, phones, and computers, there were a long line of versions of these instruments that came before them. Our story actually starts about 4,000 years ago when the Great Pyramids of Egypt were first being completed. In the ancient city of there were people who lived there known as the ancient Sumerians. The Sumerians would play an instrument called the lyre, which was kind of like a small harp. You'd hold it against you with one hand and then pluck it with the other. Strings made of sheep gut were tuned to different pitches and plucked or strummed by the musician's fingers. This instrument became immensely popular, so popular that almost every country came out with its own type of lyre. In Europe, we have the Anglo-Saxon lyre, the tall harpa, the yohiko, and the giga. In Asia, the ektara, sarangi, barbat, narziuk, and in Africa, the tambura, bigena, obokana, kisar, litunga, and ndongo. Now, when you go back that far in history, progress moves at an extremely slow pace, and so for thousands of years, people remained content with their lyres and lyre-like instruments, with the backs of the instrument changing based on what was around: tortoise shell, wood, or gourds, and everything else you could think of. Then around the 8th century in Persia, we start seeing instruments pop up in paintings and writings that require a bow. Someone had figured out that besides plucking the strings of your instrument with your finger, if you had a long, thin, and sticky surface, you could draw it across the strings to make a continuous sound. A revolution had begun, and the popularity of bowed string instruments took off. Again, every culture in the world seemed to have their own types of bowed instruments, differing in pitch, timbre, and the amount of strings, and the way you would hold it. Eventually, we reached the 16th century in Europe, and we begin to see paintings of what we would call today the violin. The body has its iconic shape, has its 4 strings, and it's held on the shoulder. This is what will become the standard from here on out. Similarly, the cello, evolving from the viola da gamba, viola of the leg, also has 4 strings, is considerably larger and thus lower in pitch, and it's held between the legs. The latest development from then would be in 1910, when the first steel string was invented. Today, there are musicians that still use gut strings because of their unique sound, but steel has become most common because of its ability to last longer and produce a stronger sound. There are even gold strings now, steel plated with gold, which some performers feel produces a more brilliant sound. Who knows how we might develop instruments going forward, or if we will simply abandon them in favor of the digital world. The possibilities are endless, and after all, the instruments we play are just the vehicle. The music that we make together is the destination.
Don't forget to like and subscribe, and click that bell to turn the notifications on.